Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Friday Night Smackdown for November the 13th, 2020. We have the WWE Survivor Series pay-per-view coming up in just over a week. My birthday, November 22nd. But we got Smackdown to cover and also the breaking news. Zelina Vega has been released from WWE. What does this mean as far as the WWE Twitch policy goes in the future? Could there be wrestlers unionized? A lot of questions. What's up with Aleister Black? But we'll go ahead and talk about that after the recap. Let's go ahead and get to SmackDown first. We went to the Thunderdome. No intro, just straight to the Thunderdome. The big dog, Roman Reigns, came out with Paul Heyman. And Reigns brought up how it's the island of relevancy. And Heyman talked about how it's called that because Reigns makes everyone relevant. Jey Uso, according to Reigns, was just that twin. You could not tell which was which. But now, according to Reigns, Jey is this main eventer. And Reigns talked about how he will beat WWE's secondary champion, Randy Orton, and talked about how he respects Randy Orton's accomplishments in the ring, but does not respect the man himself. This led to Drew McIntyre coming out. I guess we still have the brand-to-brand initiative. I'm not sure if it was even brought up or not, but Drew McIntyre was out here, and this tends to happen around Survivor Series time. Guys from Raw appear on SmackDown and vice versa. I figured it was inevitable that this would happen. We had Drew McIntyre talk about how the last time he saw Roman Reigns, he eliminated Roman Reigns in the Royal Rumble match back in January. Am I the only one that feels that happened a really long time ago? That seems like a lifetime ago with the way 2020 has gone. And then Drew brought up Paul Heyman and talked about how he beat Heyman's client. He beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and then talked about how Roman Reigns after WrestleMania was nowhere to be found. Roman Reigns just left. He left the fans behind. We had Roman Reigns with his response, and he had quite the response. He said that he likes Drew. He really does. However, Drew has to take a back seat because Reigns is back. And then Reigns said that he doesn't watch Monday Night Raw. In fact, nobody does. Wow. That was quite the shot, I have to say, burying Monday Night Raw for the low viewership. Yeah, I'm not sure I would script that line, but hey, it's true, I guess. Reigns ain't lying. And then Reigns talked about how he is the guy, he's the man, and Jey Uso ran to the ring and said that they run the show. What the hell is Drew doing there on SmackDown? And said it's disrespect to be out there on their show. And Jey challenged Drew to a match. And Drew responded by shoving Jey down to the mat. Roman and Jey, instead of getting in a physical confrontation, they took their leave. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat, first one of the evening. Thank you for that. He says, why set up Drew versus Roman Reigns if Drew is not champion? Well, I will talk more about that at the end of this SmackDown recap, Psycho Jet Black. That's a good point, but we will talk about that in just a few minutes. We had Roman Reigns angry backstage. He was angry at Jay because Reigns is the one that handles business. He's the one that calls the shots and makes the matches. And Jay assured Reigns that he would take care of things. We had our first match of the evening, which was Sami Zayn versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship. Zayn got on the mic and talked about how he was informed at 7 p.m. Eastern about this title match with Apollo Crews. He talked about all the crap he had to go through to win back the title that he never lost. He was interrupted by Apollo, and we had our match. I wonder if that was a worked shoot also. We had that line from Reigns about nobody watching Raw, and there have been all these reports that Vince has changed the script for Smackdown at the last minute. I wonder if this was another worked shoot by Sami Zayn referencing the last minute script changes. I wonder if he really did not have a match scheduled until an hour before the show. TJS with a $3 super chat. Thank you for that, Tyler. He says, Robbie Vice sucks eggs. What a weak Survivor Series build-up, yawn. Well, I'm not so concerned with the Survivor Series comment, but wow, Robbie Vice, you're calling him out? Is that a challenge for the no DQ debate? Because if you would like to debate Robbie Vice, I can make that happen. Believe me. And Mike B with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Mike B. I appreciate it. He says, the no DQ super chat title is the best title belt in the business. Yeah, it had quite the run. Adrian, I think, had the most reigns, but Mike B, I know you were up there too, and I very much appreciate that. So we had this match between Sami Zayn and Apollo. Not much to say about it. It was very short. We had Sami Zayn and Apollo on the outside of the ring, and you have these ropes that help hold the mat down in place underneath the apron, and Zayn tied Apollo's feet into the ropes and got back in the ring. Apollo got counted out. Wow, this really made Apollo look like an idiot, getting outsmarted by Sami Zayn. But hey, Sami Zayn, the opportunist, does whatever it takes to hold on to his championship. What a way to build him up for Bobby Lashley. He beats guys by finding ways to outsmart them. I guess that's the storyline. Sami Zayn, maybe he can find a way to outsmart Bobby Lashley at Survivor Series. Captivating storytelling, I tell ya. TJS says he actually loves Robbie but would crush him. Well, again, let's do it. If you guys in the chat room want to see Robbie Vice versus TJS in a debate, let me hear it. We'll make it happen. We had Adam Pearce backstage with Drew McIntyre. Pearce said that he cannot sanction a match. However, he will give Drew a fight against Jey Uso. And then we had Rey Mysterio interviewed backstage about the final chapter match with Seth Rollins. So yes, WWE booked a final chapter match to presumably end this feud once and for all between Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio with no build whatsoever. Like, not even a 1 week build saying, hey, next week we're going to have the blow off of this feud. They're going to have their final match. They just announced randomly, oh, we're doing a last chapter match. This is the end of the feud. Pretty much a big letdown here to just throw this match out with no build-up, considering how much time was put into this feud. I'm not complaining that much, though, because as I said last week, I think that this feud has passed its expiration date. I really think that it needed to be wrapped up weeks ago. So, on a positive note, we're finally getting the end of this feud. Mysterio said that Rollins may call himself the Messiah, but to him, Rollins is the devil, and he is going to send Rollins back to hell where he belongs. Mo Camera, Roman Reigns' biggest fan, Mo Camera, with a $7 super chat. Thank you for that, Mo. Says, Jey Uso saved that promo. Showed so much energy and charisma. Roman was boring and has the personality of a cardboard box. Just let Heyman talk. So even with a Roman Reigns heel turn, Mo Camera is not satisfied. It's not good enough for him. Roman Reigns being like a mafia boss is not good enough for Mo Camera. I think Reigns is great, but Mo, you are perfectly entitled to your opinion. We had Sasha Banks come to the ring for a promo. She brought up the critics, how people said she would lose the title in her first defense. And she put the entire Smackdown locker room on notice. And all of a sudden, we had Bayley's music hit, but there was no Bayley. Instead, Carmella used it as a distraction. Stupid babyface. She super kicks Sasha from behind in the ring and hits the Bronco Buster. And from what I heard, like it was only like 10, 15 seconds, she has new music. And it sucked. From what I could hear, the 10 seconds of it, it sounded like generic crap. So it looks like we're moving on in the direction. Carmella's getting a title match, even though she hasn't beaten anybody. She's just been in vignettes for the past 2 months. All of a sudden, she's getting a title match. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, the real messiah of Backbreaker is Roderick Strong. The messiah of Backbreaker, I guess. And thank you for that super chat. I do appreciate it, Psycho Jet Black. I'm confused by that comment. He's just the messiah when it comes to performing backbreakers as a move? I presume that's what you were talking about. And Mo Camera is arguing with people in the chat room about Roman Reigns. We had poor Otis. And what a message this is to send to young people. Otis has lost everything. He lost his woman. He lost his tag partner. He lost his cool music. And now he's backstage eating, because he's depressed. So he's just going to eat his sorrows away. He's there eating alone in catering when Chad Gable shows up and says, I'm jumping ahead here, so hold on a second. He was eating by himself. He was confronted by Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler. They were making fun of him, bullying him, for sitting there alone eating. Otis got pissed off. He dumped the food. He turned over the table, dumped the food all over the place. And then we had a match between Otis and Dolph Ziggler. Roode attempted to interfere at one point, and then Ziggler hit the zigzag. However, Otis kicked out of it, and Otis hit a power slam, hit the caterpillar, and then went up top for the Vader bomb. Roode got on the apron, and get this, guys, smart babyface moment. Instead of being distracted by Roode on the apron, Otis was like, basically, F you. He did his move. He hit the Vader bomb and pinned Dolph Ziggler. He basically just ignored Roode standing on the apron, which is what every babyface should do if they were smart. And Otis, he's the last guy you would think would be smart like this, but he was. He saw what Roode was up to. Roode was trying to cause a distraction. He's like, nope, just going to do my move, win the match. And that's exactly what he did. So your Smart Babyface of the Week award goes to Otis. And now what I was talking about a moment ago with Chad Gable after the match, I jumped ahead of myself a little bit. Chad Gable confronted Otis and said he wants to see this kind of Otis every single week. All Otis needs is some discipline and a mentor. And he handed this Alpha Academy brochure to Otis, I guess, to try and recruit him. Maybe make a new faction or something, a new version of American Alpha. I don't know. Kind of weird to me, but I guess we'll see how it plays out. We had a video package for Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio to set up their no holds barred final chapter match. I wonder if this was called the final chapter because today is Friday the 13th. That would be a nice touch by WWE. I mean, they were aware of Friday the 13th. Corey Graves referenced Camp Crystal Lake at one point, so there was definitely an effort to acknowledge the day. We had the Rey Mysterio family out there with Rey, and we had the disciple, Buddy Murphy, in Rollins' corner. Now, if you guys remember, last week, Murphy assured Aliyah that he had a plan. Him getting back with Seth, there was something to it. Did Murphy have a plan or not? Let's go ahead and talk about this match. But before we get to that, TJS with a $3 super chat. Thank you, Tyler. He's jumping ahead a little bit here. He says, Big E is keeping the New Day gimmick and gear. Your thoughts? Well, Tyler, hashtag stick to the topic, but I do appreciate the super chat. I think he should change things up. I think WWE doesn't know what to do with him because, once again, this week he was in a backstage segment. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. And thank you guys for shaming TJS. Remember, anybody who goes off topic gets a shame. Shame from Nick Glavin, Dr. NXT Scorpio, Curtis Butler, Ashley, all giving TJS a shame. But yes, he should change up his look, and maybe he will. Let's not give up hope. Curtis Butler to TJS, stick to your PS5. Ooh, savage line of the night right there to TJS. I want to see TJS versus Robbie Vice in a debate. That will be a fun one. So, anyways, back to the match. They fought on the outside of the ring. Mysterio got suplexed onto the announce table, and Mysterio managed to make a brief comeback, but then Rollins slid Mysterio out of the ring to the floor and then hit Mysterio with the steel steps. Rollins attempted to do the curb stomp to Mysterio on the steps, but he missed. Mysterio knocked Rollins onto the steps and then went back in the ring and did his sliding splash from the bottom rope all the way down onto Rollins. Got him back into the ring, but a table had been set up and Rollins shoved the table into Mysterio and then powerbombed Mysterio through the table, got a near fall, and then Rollins grabbed the steel chair. He took the protective stoppers from the bottom of the chair and he attempted to put out Rey's other eye, finish the job, eye for an eye part 2. But Dominic was not going to let this happen. Dominic pulled Rollins out of the ring. Rollins attacked Dominic, and Rollins got back into the ring, and he got knocked down by Mysterio. Both guys were down. Murphy got into the ring, handed the steel chair to Rollins, but then the swerve, well, not really a swerve. I think we pretty much saw this coming. Murphy with a knee to the face of Seth Rollins, betraying his Messiah. And Mysterio went for a 619, but botched it on the first attempt. He did get it eventually. He hit the 619 and then went to the top rope. And today was the 15-year anniversary since the death of Eddie Guerrero. Rest in peace, Eddie. Mysterio did Eddie's taunt on the top rope and then did the frog splash in Eddie's honor, picked up the victory, and apparently that's the end of the feud. After the match was over, Mysterio instructed Murphy to get into the ring, and Mysterio offered a handshake. Murphy shaked hands. Aaliyah came up and hugged Murphy. Everybody celebrated. Happy ending. And it appears that this storyline with Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio is finally over. I thought the match was really solid. Very entertaining match. Loved the finish. Loved the tribute to Eddie Guerrero on the anniversary of his death. I thought that was a very nice touch. Perfect way to end this storyline and move on now to something else. But actually, we are not quite done with Rollins and Murphy, which I'll get to here in a second. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, should Murphy adopt the name Murphy Mysterio? No, I think that's a little bit too much. I think that's overkill. That's not necessary. He can just be Murphy. The world does not need another Mysterio. I think they got enough Mysterios running around at this point. I think Murphy is fine and dandy just being Murphy. And backstage, Rollins was outraged about this. He confronted Adam Pearce. He said that Murphy is a disgraceful bastard who betrayed him, and he wants a chance to destroy him. And it was announced that next week it will be Murphy versus Rollins one-on-one. And I would think that this will be it for Rollins. I've been talking about this for a while now. Becky Lynch is going to be giving birth soon, in about a month or so. I believe the due date was sometime in December. One would think Rollins is going to want to take some time off. I've been saying this for a while. Put over Murphy on the way out and return in a couple months as a babyface again. Because Roman Reigns, he's going to need some top-tier guys to feud with. And the babyface side is pretty weak. You could do Rey Mysterio versus Roman Reigns perhaps, but you need some guys to build up to face Reigns. And I think babyface Rollins versus heel Reigns, it's a different dynamic that we haven't seen. So I would like to see a return of the Architect, Seth Rollins, with his old music. Hopefully they don't change his music again. Let him have his old music back, and he can feud with Roman Reigns in the early part of 2021. We had Adam Pearce backstage with Natalya. A triple threat match was made to see who gets added to the women's team at Survivor Series. Natalya was upset that she wasn't just added to the match. Why does she have to even qualify? And then as she left, Chelsea Green randomly showed up. We haven't seen Chelsea Green in several months since she quit the Robert Stone brand on NXT. We had this, what was supposed to be a triple threat match, Natalya versus Tamina versus Liv Morgan, but then Chelsea Green came out as the fourth person, making this a fatal four-way match. Now, Chelsea barely did anything. She got taken out of the match early, and it was basically Liv and Natalya for a while, and then Tamina got back into the match only to get hit with a code breaker by Liv, and Liv pinned Tamina. So weird way to debut Chelsea Green, just randomly backstage, gets added to the match, and then she's in it for like a minute and doesn't win. I mean, she barely made any kind of impact whatsoever here. Michael Wayne says she is injured. Well, I have not heard anything about that, so if you've gotten any report about that, let me know, Michael Wayne. But yeah, this was an interesting match just because of how things played out with Chelsea Green. Liv Morgan picked up the victory, so she's added to the match. Again, I really do not care about it. Marcus Metcalf with the $2 super chat. Thank you, Marcus. He says, WWE posted a job for Twitch GFX motion designer. Yes, that is true. I did post that on No DQ a little while ago. So make sure you guys check that out. Kind of interesting timing for that job posting to go up with what the news is today. We had Drew McIntyre interviewed backstage, and he said that Jay was going to get his ass kicked in his own backyard. We had Big E backstage with the Street Profits, and they brought in some food for Big E, and E shot back at them saying that the best that they ever will be is a New Day light, a great value New Day. Everybody started laughing about this, and as Big E walked away, the Profits, they stopped laughing, and they were very upset about what Big E said, and that was that. Remember, this Monday, we could see a different match potentially. It's the Hurt Business against the New Day for the tag titles on Raw. Maybe we'll get Street Profits versus the Hurt Business. Who knows? And I'm thinking we will see more with Big E after Survivor Series. I think the idea is that until Survivor Series is over, there's really no need to start putting Big E in a storyline. So he's just kind of there for the moment. And Marcus Meatcalf with the $2 super chat says, Chelsea was holding her arm after the bump off the apron. Well, hopefully she's not injured. So I will definitely look into that. And hopefully she's not hurt. That would really suck. Her first match back in quite a while, and she's on the main roster and she gets hurt immediately. That would just be terrible. We had our main event of the evening, Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso in an unsanctioned match. And Drew pretty much dominated the early part of the match. After the commercial break, Jey got control, but then Drew made his comeback. Drew went for the Claymore. Jey slipped to the outside of the ring. So he's learning. He is a veteran now. He's been around. He knows when he's in trouble. He instinctively knows to get to the outside of the ring awareness, as they say. Roman Reigns' music hit. Reigns came down to the ring, and stupid babyface alert, Drew McIntyre turns his back to his opponent, and he pays for it. He gets sent into the ring post. Jey was going to get back into the ring to finish off Drew, but Reigns pulled him out of the ring. Reigns pulled Jey out of the ring and said he doesn't care if Jey wins the match. He wants Jey to make Drew understand. So Jey went into the ring, hit a fury of punches, but it wasn't enough. You could say that the time that Reigns was talking to Jey cost Jey the match, because Drew was able to come back, hit the Claymore, and picked up the 1-2-3 victory. And after the match, Drew went to the outside. He had a face-off with Roman Reigns. He wanted to throw down and fight, and Reigns was like, he tapped at his championship and said, "Get one of these, and then we'll talk." And that was the end of Monday night, or Friday night SmackDown, whatever night this is. It's Friday the 13th, I should know. End of SmackDown. So yeah, we got Monday Night Raw with Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. And after this SmackDown, I mean, they're building up Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. That's the match I want to see now. I really don't care about Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton. Makes me think Drew is winning on Monday. Otherwise, why do all of this? Like, you might as well have brought Randy Orton to SmackDown too. So it's like it could go either way. But this was like all setting up Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. Makes me think that we'll get that. Ma W thinks maybe it'll be Drew versus Reigns at WrestleMania. I suppose that's a possibility as well if The Rock is unavailable or just doesn't want to wrestle a 25% capacity building. I mean, who knows? It's just crazy because WrestleMania, no word yet on where it's even happening. It's believed to be taking place in Tampa now instead of California, but who knows? And we don't know how many fans will be allowed there, what's going to happen with COVID, what's going on with the vaccine. There's talk that the WrestleMania date might be pushed back a few weeks into April, so that way there's a better chance of having more fans in attendance, more people being able to be vaccinated. Chris Cahill with a $5 super chat. It's unprecedented. You know, last WrestleMania was of course a completely different beast, and this next WrestleMania could be very different too. And when was the last time that WrestleMania tickets were not on sale by now? I mean, we always have WrestleMania tickets on sale in November. Nothing. When will they go on sale if they do go on sale? Very, very interesting times we are living in. So anyways, Chris Cahill with a $5 super chat. And remember, guys, I'm going to talk about the release of Zelina Vega here in just a minute, so don't leave yet. Chris Cahill says, could we see Roman Reigns cost Randy the title to get Drew McIntyre at Survivor Series and Randy get involved in the Survivor Series match? Yeah, I mean, anything's possible at this point. Would not shock me, because I just find it hard to believe that they're going to do a clean finish. If it's Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre at Survivor Series, like, one would think that there would be interference. Maybe that's where Sheamus interferes. Like, that could happen. Because the thing is Sheamus gonna cost Drew the title on Raw before the Survivor Series match? You would think that Sheamus would interfere after his Survivor Series match. So I would think it would be more likely to let Sheamus finish his storyline with Team Raw versus Team Smackdown and then cost Drew a match, which could be the Survivor Series match. At least it's keeping us interested in wondering what's going to happen, and we're guessing on to how this is going to play out. JSpin401 says, don't get the vaccine. Well, I will be getting the vaccine. I very much approve vaccines. I know some people out there do not, but I just got my flu shot a few days ago, so I'm keeping up on it. Psycho Jet Black with the $2 super chat says, what about the Royal Rumble? Will it be 30 men? I would think so. I mean, there has been talk about that with the pandemic. I mean, we've had segments with tons of guys in the ring and tons of guys close to each other. So I'm sure they can pull it off if everybody's tested and everybody's negative. They could pull it off with the 30 men. I think maybe like back in April, before WWE was testing, they would not even consider something like a battle royal or anything with a lot of guys in the ring at once. But now I think they'll find a way to make it happen. Marcus Metcalf with a $2 super chat says, it'll be Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns and Randy Orton versus Edge at WrestleMania. You could be right. I mean, I would definitely not rule out that possibility. Maybe Drew wins the Royal Rumble for a second time, and this time he challenges Reigns and instead of going for the WWE Championship on Raw. So let's go ahead, before we talk about Zelina Vega, letter grade for SmackDown. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good show. I would probably go with a solid B. It did feel like a show that was thrown together last minute at times, which it appeared to be. But I was entertained. I thought the Rollins and Mysterio match was great. Loved the finish of that. The stuff with Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, good stuff as usual. I'm intrigued by Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, so I'm wondering, like, he's got to win the title, right, on Raw? But we shall see. And show was pretty entertaining, easy watch. Didn't have too many issues with it. Tyson with a B, Calvin Bowman with a B+, Kev with a B, Gamazon 100 with a B, Mike B with an A-, Daniel with a C+, Michael Wayne with a B, and Curtis Butler with a B. And Matt Helms with a B. All right, so Zelina Vega released from WWE. It was announced late Friday night, about 5 minutes to 10 minutes before the announcement was made by WWE. Zelina tweeted out about supporting a union in wrestling. Of course, there's been this big controversy about WWE taking over third-party accounts, Twitch accounts, Cameo, and so forth, and wrestlers being upset about this because that was an additional method of income for them. And some of those guys were making some pretty good money off of those sites. But WWE, they're a corporation. It is a corporation. They, it, whatever. WWE is a corporation, and corporate greed, they want to control everything. It's very controversial. It's been like this for years. It goes back to the late 80s with Jesse Ventura wanting to unionize the wrestling business and help out the talent and give them some protection because, life after wrestling, it can be very tough for people, and it really takes a toll on your body. WWE making a ton of money. Even during a pandemic, WWE is profitable, yet they need to make more money. They need more money, and they're trying to take over everything and taking control of the Twitch accounts and so forth. Yeah, I was not expecting her to be released, though. That caught me off guard. And I don't know what this means. I don't know if more people will get involved. I know Andrew Yang has been very vocal. He was a presidential candidate earlier this year, and he's been very vocal about WWE. I get this question asked now and then about the whole union situation. Will wrestlers one day actually form a union, and will it be successful? And my answer has always been, I don't think enough people will step up. Like, it's going to take a lot of people to make this a reality, or even possibly a reality, because WWE, they have so many people under contract. They can bring in new people. Zelina Vega, she's a great talent, but life will move on in WWE without her. And WWE will bring in new women. They got a huge roster of talented women. So it's going to be really tough. It's going to take more than just Zelina Vega. But could this be a start? I mean, who knows? It could be a very interesting year. And I don't know what's going to happen with Aleister Black. He could end up being put through a table by Nia Jax for the next 8 weeks. Who knows? I would not be surprised now if he ends up leaving the company. And there was a report that he wanted to go to NXT and was denied. And I cannot really blame him on that after the last several months of his run on the main roster. And he hasn't even done anything since being drafted to Smackdown. I don't know what they're doing with him. They changed his music on Raw, and then he went to Smackdown, and nothing's happening with him. But to me, like, that guy could have been a contender for Drew McIntyre. I was thinking, like, they could push Aleister Black as a world champion contender, and then nothing happens with him. It's a shame about Zelina Vega. She's got the 90-day non-compete. Very realistic chance, I think, she'll end up in AEW. They need some female star power. WWE may just keep Aleister Black under contract and not do anything with him. They might see him as a bigger gain for AEW than Zelina Vega, but I think AEW could really use somebody like Zelina. They need to boost up their women's division. A lot of people like her, and I think they could get some good use out of her. I think they could get good use out of Aleister Black too, but I mean, they got a very loaded men's roster. It's the women's division that's lacking, and I think Zelina could be a big difference maker for them. The Game is on 100 with a $2 super chat. Says, only the top guys probably can do unionizing. And that's very true. And going back to Jesse Ventura, apparently he had tried to get Hulk Hogan to be part of it. And I guess that's what led to a falling out between Ventura and Hogan in real life. Hogan did not go for it. Hogan could have made a difference in that regard. Like, it's going to take your top guys. And back then, Hogan was the guy. If Hogan walked, WWF at the time would have been in trouble. But now, like, you could have half a dozen guys leave and WWE would just replace them and business would move on. So that's why it's such an uphill battle, because WWE controls so much of the marketplace. They have so many people under contract. Like, what do you do? And Uthman Entertainment with a $2 super chat, thank you, says, does Vega have a 90-day non-compete clause? As I mentioned, yes, she does, which means around February 13th, she'll be a free agent. AEW Revolution is the end of February, so we might have a surprise appearance for Revolution. Chris Cahill with a $5 super chat. Says, does this speak volume of the depth of the women's division being this talent despite not having their two best females in Charlotte and Becky? You got a lot of talented women in WWE. Sasha, Bayley, Asuka. And in NXT, you got Rhea Ripley. You got Toni Storm, Candice LeRae. You got a lot of people that can perform at a high level, both men and women in WWE. And lots of people that are struggling just to get TV time. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, Andre was right, Hulk Hogan is a big, ugly goon. Did he use those exact words? And if so, where did he say that? Because I never heard him refer to Hogan as a big, ugly goon unless it was in storyline. And Curtis Butler thinks that this release will bite them in the butt. She has a lot of potential. Yeah, it's tough for her because Twitch, a lot of wrestlers like being on Twitch, and she recently started up an OnlyFans account, which might have added to this whole tension between her and WWE, even though it was not anything that was adult-oriented. It was just her in cosplay outfits. And, you know, Paige, we all saw that video with her a couple weeks ago, basically on the verge of tears about this whole situation. And it's even worse for her because she cannot wrestle anymore. You know, the Twitch account was her way to stay connected with the fans and just keep herself busy, keep herself doing something. I just feel bad. Like, why do you need to take the Twitch accounts away? I think most of us are in agreement with this, that it's very petty by WWE. Like, who cares? Who cares if they're making $50,000 doing a Twitch account? Like, let them do it. Like, they're risking their lives every time they go out there and perform. Let them reap the benefits from it. But of course, WWE's attitude is, no, you're independent contractors, you're not employees, and blah, blah, blah. But then they want to control them like they're employees. Like, WWE just wants to have everything their way and get as much money as possible. So, yeah, stuff like this really makes it difficult at times to be a fan of WWE when there's so much corporate greed here. And I mean, legally, they're finding ways to make it work in their favor, but it just sucks. It really does. Make sure you guys stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding Zelina Vega and the release. I'm sure there will be a lot more updates regarding this. And Chris Cahill with a $2 super chat says, thoughts on Devon's sons being on AEW Dark? I have not seen it, so I cannot comment on them, but I hope they did well. You know, I like AEW Dark, but I cannot commit to watching 10 matches when they're usually just enhancement matches, but I may go and check that one out. If I hear a match was really good, I'll go watch it. But yeah, it's a little bit too much for me. I got other stuff I got to watch and cover. But yeah, I hope they did do well and look forward to possibly seeing them on Dynamite at some point. I think it's a cool concept what AEW is doing, giving a lot of indie guys during a pandemic a chance to perform on a big stage and get an opportunity. I do think it's really cool. So anyways, guys, I'm out for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. NoDQ.com will keep you updated. Support the site by going over to NoDQ.com/merch. You can get a mug, t-shirts, masks, face coverings. And that's all I got for tonight. Take care, everybody. Stay positive. Be safe. And I will see you all next time. Wait. Right before I clicked off, Psycho Jet Black says, Aaron, you should start a Twitch account. Thank you for the super chat. And I have considered it. Never say never. I might go that route at some point, but nothing just yet. However, it is under consideration. Take care, everybody, and see you next time.